Hey, welcome back to After Hours with me, Jimmy Thistle. Hey guys. Yeah, today, like an amazing episode. I know all my episodes are amazing, but you know, Michael Banks, Mikey B, and I have been following each other for a couple of months. His Instagram has just blown up. He's such a powerful message, which you'll hear all about in the podcast. Mikey, he grew up on a council estate up in Aberdeen, but he didn't go without. He was loved and cared for by his parents, and that was kind of the main thing with him. Drinking began, about 12, 13, and he loved it. It wasn't his initial thing. He used it kind of, I suppose, as a kind of going out, socializing tool, confidence booster, I guess. But he did enjoy the kind of way it made him feel. And he kind of left school, went to, do an apprentice joinery thing. So he was already in amongst adults who were drinking, and then he found cocaine. But as he said in the podcast, he could afford it. He didn't have many outgoings, didn't have a mortgage at that point. So, there wasn't any kind of warning signs or anything. But once things did get really kind of hard, because his usage started getting so bad, and he was already with his now wife at that point, and they had a house, he started dealing to fund his habit, and that led to debt, worries, violence, hardship. And eventually, it became too much, and he wasn't even dealing for other people. He was basically going and getting his own use from the dealers, bringing home maybe a couple of £100 a week, giving that to his wife, whereas he was putting out thousands to the dealers, and things got so bad that he eventually got an absolute pasting from the dealers. They said, either you come and get your licks today, or we go and sit about your house tonight and you'll be sleeping out in the cold. So there was a choice there, and basically he took the licks, got absolutely battered. And then Mikey set a date for when he was going to end his own life. So it's a very powerful, emotional, upsetting episode, but I think a lot of people will take a lot from it. I just want to, there is talk of violence, talk of suicide, as I said. So please be aware in the episode, and as always, listen for the similarities and not the differences, guys. See you at the end. Mikey, welcome to After Hours, mate. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you very much for inviting me along. Absolutely buzzing for it.
Oh, mate, no, I'm absolutely buzzing as well. As I say, we've kind of had a little bit of kind of not technical issues, but just kind of scheduling issues and all that. So it's so good to finally kind of get it nailed down and have a conversation with you, because I think we maybe started following each other. It must have been before. It was last year, some point, wasn't it?
It was last. Yeah.
And I love your content, mate. Your Instagram's just blowing up, man. It's like, it's just gone crazy. So yeah, your posts are just awesome. But yeah, whereabouts in the world are you, mate?
I'm in Aberdeen, Scotland. Born and raised here. Yep.
I lived in not Stonehaven. That's where my grandparent, my papa, was from. Stonehaven. He was born and raised there. We moved from Glasgow in about 1997, 98 to it's not Portlethen. What's the one next to it?
Cove.
Not Cove. No, further down towards Stonehaven. This is great. I can't even remember. Near Muckles. It'll come back to me, mate. Yeah, but we lived there for a couple of years, and then I moved into Aberdeen. I was doing college at Aberdeen College. Worked in the Hog's Head, the Old Town Schoolhouse on Little Belmont Street. So I was the manager in there for a couple of years, and yeah. But that was like way back.
What terrible.
2000, I think I left there. So yeah. But it was, I loved Aberdeen. It was an absolute great city. So yeah, I do miss it. I do miss it.
It's got really good parts, really bad parts. It depends where you look. Same as everywhere else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We I mean, Glasgow's a great city, but obviously it's got some of its rougher ends and it's not so nice, savoury places. But it's the same as the Isle of Man here, where I am. Douglas is a lovely city, but I don't spend much time in there because I'd rather be out in the countryside and doing other
Oh,
things.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
the same. I like the countryside a lot more, where it's
yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, exactly. So, Mikey, tell us about your kind of childhood. What was it like, and then when did alcohol and substances kind of first enter into your life?
Well, alcohol and substances, alcohol especially, has always been a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
When I started taking it and drinking and using things is a different story. But I grew up in a council estate in Aberdeen.
Yep.
I had loving parents. We didn't have everything we ever wanted. We didn't have all the money in the world, but we had love and safety in
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah.
Um,
Food on
and
the table.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My dad provided well, and my mother loved us well.
Yeah.
So I can't really complain about my childhood, but with inside my house. But outside the house, we got up to mischief in our council estate. We enjoyed mischief.
Of course.
Over the years, we got up to all sorts of mischief with primary school and out and about doing all sorts of crazy stuff because we didn't have phones or computers and stuff back then.
Yeah.
We had to entertain ourselves. And sometimes I think it was a blessing and a curse. I think mainly a blessing, getting out of the house all the time. I was never in. I was always out, always out. Um, Substances and alcohol was the first one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol was the first drug I ever took. I was quite young, maybe 12, 13 years old when I
Mm-hmm.
first tried my first drink. Probably younger than that, but, when I really remember it, probably 12, 13 years old. And
I mean, I think there's a difference because, like, for me, I'm definitely sure. Like, my parents split up when I was 6, but I definitely must have had, sips of my dad's beer when he was
yeah,
around, and maybe a glass of my mum's, not a glass, but a sip of the wine and all that. But for me, I think it's when you first got absolutely blitzed or whatever, when you did that with your mates or whatever, and I think that's for you for what 12, 13 or whatever, yeah.
yeah. Well, that's probably 12, 13, probably 13.
Yeah,
I think when I went to secondary school, first year,
yeah.
you're pushing the boundaries a little bit, and you're buying big 3 litre bottles of White Lightning cider for 1.99 or whatever it was. It
Mm-hmm.
was chips. It was literally cheaper than chips.
Aye,
Uh,
aye.
and we used to go out and get absolutely blutered down the park of the railway line, and didn't think anything of it. But
Yeah,
and when I was there, I didn't think much of it. It was kind of normal.
yeah.
Everybody had their big bottles of cider or their Skittles vodka or whatever else they had.
Skittles vodka.
Skittles
Jesus, I
vodka.
forgot about that. We used to put.
A bottle of vodka, a pack of Skittles in it. That was it sorted.
Well, we used to. Yeah, I remember some of my mates did that. But me and my other mate, each get a glass bottle of Iron Brew, pour out half of that, and then pour in a half bottle of vodka. Now, obviously, that wasn't our first drink, but that was what we kind of progressed up to. So that's pretty hard stuff, and that was maybe. Yeah, that was still probably 14, 15. We were doing that. And that was it. We only had one bottle, whereas the others were carrying about, I don't know, like maybe 10 bottles of beer or something like that. Whereas we were like, I've just got my bottle of Iron Brew. From the outset, it doesn't look like I'm drinking. It's
Ah,
just a
yeah.
bottle of Iron Brew, a bottle of ginger. And yeah. But it's just madness, isn't it? So what do you think that first drink felt like to you? Those first kind of times when you were going out. What kind of feelings did you get from that?
It felt like something new. It felt a little bit edgy,
Yeah.
a bit cool because I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was drunk, I didn't really like the feeling. To be honest with you, when
Right.
I first done it, I didn't enjoy the feeling, but I kind of wanted to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept doing it. I hear a lot of people. I felt the first time I got drunk, that was it. I knew it. I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Me, it wasn't exactly like that. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted people to accept me, whatever version I had to be. I wanted them to accept me. And back then it was drinking, smoking fags, and whatever else we were getting up to. And then before I knew it, it became like a normal thing. You know, Friday night we would go down to the shops, we would stand beside the shop and ask some poor bugger to buy a drink until somebody did, and then be ourselves on our merry way for the night. And you know, the horrible sights you would see, and that were normal. You know, people lying on puke in the middle of a dark railway line, and that's just a normal night. You would laugh at them. You know, and sometimes it was me, and it was just like that every weekend. Every single weekend was like that, all the way through my teens. And
but the thing is, we would hear. I mean, I don't think any of my direct close mates or crew or whatever ever had to get their stomachs pumped, but you were hearing stories like when you get back to school on Monday, like so and so in the year above or whatever had to get his stomach pumped and all that, and it was like we all. I guess in my head I thought, oh well, I would never drink that much. Do you know what I mean? We were drinking just as much. It was just he was or she was unlucky and they drank over that edge. And then their body, reacted against it. So we were all throwing those dice. It didn't matter whether we thought we were doing it safely and not as bad. Like I'm drinking half a bottle of vodka on a night at a 14, 15-year-old. That's way too much for a 14, 15-year-old. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. And also the fact that, and I've spoken numerous times on here, it seems the case where obviously we're 14, 15, 16, we're getting other random adults to go into the shop for us. Like you're a father, I'm a stepfather. There's no chance, not even with us being parents or whatever, there's no chance I would go in for a kid. Do you know what I mean? There's just no chance. So what were these people thinking?
A few times over the years, I've been asked from kids that stand inside shops a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times over the years of being an adult. No way. No way. Oh, sorry, pal. And you feel really awkward for them. You know, you almost feel bad for them. You're like, I know you've been standing here for hours in the rain asking people, but I'm not the person. Sorry.
No, it's not even worth it though. That's the thing. No. Like, if you were to get caught or something happened to that kid and they shopped you and said, "Oh, it was that Mikey guy that got me," and then they had to get their stomach pumped or
blows my mind that adults thought it was acceptable to do it.
Yeah. They just thought. I think back in the day they thought, "Oh, they're just having a laugh. What's the harm and all that." But I think the attitudes are definitely changing. I mean, I know for a fact that there's no way I would do that now. But maybe there are people out there that still do it. I don't know. We had
a guy that was in our little friend circle, and by the time he was 15, he looked like he was 23, 24 years old. So he was perfect for us, you know. Gonna close this line 2 seconds, sorry.
I no worries. I was gonna say there was when I was about 15, I had a wee bit stubble. Like I didn't look 18. There's no chance of that happening. But they started serving me in the shop because every now and then you would just go, I'm just going to try tonight and see if I can get sold. And I'd go in, and then one time like the magic thing happened. And at one point, there was older kids like asking me to go in for them, and I was just like, "On your bike, lads! I've already been in for our own, so
I gotta go back in again.
Can't go back in and ask for this and that." So, yeah. So, how did kind of school, and did you do college or did you do apprenticeship? What was that like?
My secondary school, I enjoyed it. You know, I was never days off. I had my friends, all my friends around me. Me and my friends felt like the kings of school. You know, we absolutely loved it. Thrived there. And then when I left school, I started an apprenticeship as a joiner.
Right.
Straight out of school, straight into apprenticeship. So I came out of school as a little 15, 16-year-old lad, straight into the bad world, where things are a lot different. You know, I remember my first Christmas night out at work. I sat next to a guy that was at my work that was an alcoholic.
Right.
And we got drink after drink after drink after drink. And by the time I stood up, I just stood up and just straight down. You know, I drank that much, trying to keep up again, trying to be.
Of course, and you're 16 and you're out with all these adults that have been drinking solidly for years.
I know.
Obviously it's like this rites of passage thing, and
yeah. You know, and for me, you know, alcohol was always a part of my life, but then drugs came along, and drugs were. That's when I got my. This is it for me.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed a drink. Alcohol was always around. It was always part of celebrations, part of the weekend. Friday I'm finished work, or even I'm just finished work. It was always there. And then drugs came along, and it just blew my mind. And I thought, this is me now.
Yeah.
Now, and I didn't realize it back then that it was digging its claws into me.
Yeah.
Surely because I wasn't a problem user at that point. You know, I was maybe using it when I was going out the weekend, having a drink and stuff. And
what are we talking? Are we talking ecstasy, cocaine?
Cocaine was,
yeah. And the thing is, you're like, you know, by the time you're like 18, you've been doing your apprenticeship for a couple of years, you're probably qualified, you're making good money. So whatever drugs and alcohol, and I don't want to put words in your mind, but whatever drugs and alcohol, you can afford it because you've not got maybe mortgage or kids or anything at that point. So this is just kind of spending cash. So you're not like somebody that's, not being able to put food on the table or whatever, and then they're still going and drinking and using. Do you know what I mean? You're doing all right. So it's like, why is this a problem? Yeah.
At that point, I was ticking all the boxes. You know, I was paying what little bills I had. I was going to work every day, and I was having a blowout every weekend. And you know, nobody questioned it because you know, Mikey deserved a blowout. He's worked hard all week, and he's out with all his mates doing what he does. You know, and the longer that went on for, the less people that were there. You know,
so there's people at the beginning. There's all your mates doing it. Like with me, there's everyone's doing it, and then it's like, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but for me, it was like I started finding different little pockets of friends that I could go to because I knew that like this certain group would be like, oh, well, I've already been out last weekend. I don't want to go out this weekend and have another big blowout. So I would find different groups so that I was out constantly, but I wasn't the same groups of friends weren't out every time. Yeah.
By the time I'd hit about 22, I'd sort of found my people where drugs were acceptable, where everything that doing it every other day was acceptable, and you know, once I moved out and got a house, I got a flat with my then girlfriend, my wife. We you know, I realised how expensive drugs and alcohol were. So my bright idea was to start selling drugs. That was my idea, right? I'm going to start selling drugs and make a bit more money. And for the first couple of years, it did. I made okay money, and we'd done things. Went to holiday twice a year, had a couple of cars, and all the usual pish that people talk about. All the materialistic bullshit I had, but never there. I was always out. I was always chasing money. I was always being chased for money. And you know, by the time I was probably 26, I was completely out of control. It was all gone. You know.
Can I ask, Mikey? So you said your then girlfriend, who's now your wife, is that correct? Yeah. And was she? I'm guessing she was aware of what you were doing because you were still being a joiner. You were still doing joinery, but then doing this on the side.
She was aware.
Yeah. Maybe not to the extent.
Not to the extent. You know, I didn't tell her everything. She knew that I was probably up to no good. She knew money was coming from places that probably money shouldn't have been coming from. But she probably just stayed blissfully in her little bubble to make sure. And she was never involved in it. She's never been a big drinker. She's never been one for taking drugs at all. She's absolutely. So she didn't want anything to do with it. And but I used to come home every day from work. I was still paying bills at this point.
Yeah, holidays, big TVs, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So
doing all this shebang, and then it just. I mean, I don't remember the actual day or even the month, but I remember I was about 26, and it just went, just skydived over the course of about 6 months. You know, I'd got myself piles and piles of debt with, and not the kind of debt where you get letters through your door.
No.
Come through your door, and more stress. I'm now not paying bills. I'm struggling about food on the table. I'm having to manipulate my mum and her mum to give me money to buy shopping for food. And it, you know, every time I thought I hit rock bottom, it would get worse and worse. When I was a young man, early 20s, I had a set of morals right up here. And by the time I got to the end of my 20s, it went right down the bottom. I had no line that I wouldn't cross. All the things that I said I wouldn't do, I've done it. You know, all this, and you know, I wouldn't steal from my children. I wouldn't steal from my mum. I wouldn't do this to fund that. And I've done it all. I robbed anything that wasn't nailed down. I took and sold, and by the time I was 28, I was just gone. I was done. You know, I was a daily user. I was drinking, and by the way, at this point, I still didn't think I had a drinking problem.
Right.
I
Did
just
you
thought,
think so? How much are you using daily with the cocaine? Are you talking like? Because obviously, what is it they say? Don't get high on your own supply. Clearly, you were doing that, and that's where the debt was coming in because you were trying to sell it, but you were probably selling to make your own personal use available. But then that's gone over what you're actually selling. Is that
by
right?
the time I was 28, nobody, I wasn't selling it anymore. I was
Yeah.
just ducking and diving to get my own bit, and I was
Yeah.
using a few grams a day.
Yeah.
That is, it's expensive. It's a couple of hundred quid
Oh, aye.
to do that. So, and I wasn't making that money, so I was still ducking and diving. I was still out in the rob or bumping people off or stealing or robbing drug dealers or whatever it was you were trying to do to try and get put food on the table.
Yeah.
Maintain this facade to everybody else that I'm doing okay.
Are you still working? Are you still doing joinery at this point?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So it's still doing your kind of day-to-day working, yeah.
I used to get up and leave my house half an hour earlier than I would have, to go down to my dealer's house and get before I went to work. I couldn't function without it. I felt like nothing worked. And then I went self-employed. I started my own business and went self-employed. And I thought, this is going to be it. And I found out I was contracted to a good job. I was making decent money. And I thought, this is going to be it. And the more money I made, the more money I spent.
Yeah.
I used to take home like a few hundred quid to my house. And that's my money for the week, sweetheart. I've struggled to get money paid in and stuff like that. But in all realisticness, I was paying about £1,000 a week out to drug debt and taking home this little pocket of money and pretending that I'm still waiting for bills to be paid and quotes and invoices to be paid. And it just got worse from there. By the end of it, and like I said, at this point, I still didn't think I had a drinking problem, but I used to drive about with a bottle of whiskey in my car all the time. There was always a bottle of whiskey in my car because the whiskey helped take the edge off the drugs.
Of course, yeah, because you can drink when you're on cocaine. And I mean, like for me at the end, I was drinking daily, and it was the first thing I did in the morning, and the last thing I did at evening. What would you say? Well, I mean, you're saying you didn't think you had a drinking problem at that time. Did you know that there was a cocaine problem?
Yes, yeah. I knew I had that. I knew I did, mainly because I could see that I was doing it by myself, alone in my car. I didn't have friends around me anymore. There was nobody around.
This is not recreational. This is not a party drug. This is you doing it to function, to get to your job, and obviously the money. And did your wife at this point, like you're obviously giving her this smaller packet to pay at the end of the week, but you're putting thousands out on your habit and debts. Did she know at this point that like there's got to be something? Because I mean, your personality, your whole demeanor must have changed. You must have been a bit rattly most of the time.
She knew.
Yeah.
And she begged me. She begged. She tried to convince and persuade me into getting help. I just wouldn't do it. I said, no, I don't want help. I don't want it. I don't need it. I can stop anytime I want. And I used to make her all the promises in the world. I promise, that's it for me. And then I would try and hide it. And she had this magical way of always knowing when I was on it. She always knew. Even I could walk. I could look in the mirror and go, I look sweet. I'm sound. Walk the house. She'd be like, you've taken someone.
Yeah. And I wonder at this point, even if she can maybe spell the alcohol on you, she probably doesn't even think that that's an issue because there's a bigger issue, because there's a cocaine issue. So it doesn't even matter at this point if she's smelling booze in your breath, because that's a small, kind of price to pay for this massive cocaine issue that's going on. Yeah.
It was the cocaine was the biggest issue because it brought in, I had people come to my door for money. I had trouble, fighting outside my front door and all this trouble he used to get into. And by the time I got to end being 28, coming on to 29, I was in so much debt. I had so much chasing me for money and got myself in so much bother. I had no idea what to do. So I'm now begging my parents to give me money to pay off drug debts. And I'm just telling you that they knew I had a problem as well. And I would manipulate them into giving me money to pay off drug dealers and you know, I'm their little boy, so they done it, but it wasn't always all the time, you know. By like I said, by the end of 2019, just before COVID hit, I was due a lot of money out, and they gave me a choice. They said you can either come and take your licks, and we'll give you an extra week, or you're sleep cold tonight because we're going to do your house in. And I was like, it's the middle of the day, I'm at work, and I'm like fuck it, I'll come and take my licks. I'll come and meet you. And I thought they got a couple of slaps, you know, maybe punch my about a little bit. And when I got there, the 4 of them jumped out the car, and they beat the living shit out of me. They stabbed all over my head. They kicked my teeth out. Spat on me. They laughed, joked, and they beat the shit out of me. By the time it was finished, there was just blood pouring down me. I was picking out teeth from my mouth and off the floor. And my first thing I wanted to do was go and use drugs. I wanted to go and pick up drugs. So I went to the shop. I asked if I could use the bathroom in the shop in Torry. And I wiped my face and cleaned my face up. And off I went and picked up more drugs. And it just kept getting worse, you know. And I had a group of friends that were still my friends, but that would have helped me. You know, they were quote unquote tough guys. You know, I could have asked them for help.
Yeah. Go and sort them out, type thing. Yeah.
I was so ashamed and embarrassed that I'd got myself in such a mess with these people that I didn't want anybody else to know. You know, I went home that night and told my wife that I was working and a ceiling fell on me.
Oh, Christ.
So bad, you know.
So you didn't go to hospital or anything like that, or the dentist even? No, you were just like, I'm going to just deal with this, yeah.
I lost 5 teeth, and so my front ones all the side down here. They kicked me that badly. They actually kicked a tooth into my gum. And stabbed on my head. They spat on me. They laughed at me, and it didn't stop me using. It just.
And these were guys that you've probably been buying off for years and building that debt up, but people that you knew pretty well because you were buying off them daily. Yeah. So like, I'm not going as far as to call them friends, but they were acquaintances, let's be honest. And now obviously you've owed them this money and they're like, yeah, we're just going to kick shit out of you, mate.
Yeah. It was awful. And you know, looking back on it, you know, I could have reached out and asked for help from somebody, but I was embarrassed. I was absolutely mortified that I got myself in such a mess. And this didn't stop me. This wasn't the point where I decided I was going to go get help. Absolutely not. It was just.
Mikey, it could have gone a lot worse. I mean, I'm not saying that like having 5 teeth knocked out and 11 daylights kicked out of you isn't bad enough. But let's be honest, people are quite handsy with knives and that, you know. So it might have ended even differently for you. Do you know what I mean? So thankfully that didn't happen. But I know exactly how you feel. That is the first thing that you go to. It doesn't matter whether, you know, I've been beat up and the first thing I wanted was a drink. And, you know, it's because it's our best friend. The addiction is so strong that we know that is the one thing that's going to make us feel better. Whereas actually all we need to do is really go tell our loved ones, listen, I'm absolutely wrecked here. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even a week after that event, there was another guy that I was owed money to, and then he ended up coming at me and assaulting me, and it wasn't as bad as that one, but it just felt like a never-ending pool of shit, just piling onto me. And I had all this as well as trying to be a dad. I was trying to be a husband, a dad, a son, an employee, a friend. Trying to be all these, and all I was doing was wearing a different hat every time. You know, today I'm ducking and diving on the raw hat. Right home, I'm now a husband. I'm now a dad. I'm now a son, employee. And I had no idea who I was or what I was. But all I knew is that I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted to have a peace for just a minute. And you know, it just kept getting worse. You know, I would say one of the lowest points for me was my dad was made redundant from his job, and he was sort of semi-retiring as well. And with the money that he got from it, he bought himself a really expensive watch that he'd always wanted. And he bought this watch, really excited with his watch. And I think he had it about 6 months, and I stole it and sold it. I sold this £9,000 watch for £400. You know, I eventually came clean to it, and we did get the watch back eventually, but I remember waiting for them to go out the house. I was sitting around the corner waiting for them to leave.
Oh yeah,
And
premeditated. Yeah,
they
yeah.
all, but one thing that I always tell people is that, you know, people sometimes think that the addicts or people that are in these positions don't have any feelings. We don't have any feelings. We don't feel any remorse. But it's just simply not true.
Of course.
I felt remorse. I was ashamed while I was thinking about doing it. I was ashamed doing it. I was ashamed afterwards. It was all, I was full of shame and guilt. But the need and want for what I was after was more. So that had to be the sacrifice I had to make to get what I wanted and what and you know, by then, by the time we got to the end of COVID, because COVID hit, and it was almost like a oasis for me. You know, I'm not going to work, but I'm getting paid because I'm on furlough. The weather was beautiful. You know, I was sitting in my back garden having barbecues every day with beers, and I didn't really have much problems. You know, I was drinking pretty much every day.
But were
You
you
know,
getting cocaine, or had you kind of?
yes, oh yes,
Yeah,
every
you were
day.
still managing that.
No,
Okay,
no,
dokie.
no matter what, I was always getting what I needed,
Yeah.
and it was kind of almost like a weird oasis that you know nobody's after me, you know, and it kind of settled down, and I almost felt like, all right, I can maybe handle this now. What I'm good, what, and then lockdown got lifted, and like that, back to it, back to my old shenanigans, and by March the 5th, 2022. I thought about it for a long time, and I decided I was going to end my life on 5th of March 20. So I wrote my wife a little letter, and my children, each of my children a letter, and my mum and dad a letter, all of them an individual letter, packed them all neatly, left them on bedside table, and off I went. I left my phone. I didn't need my phone, and just off I went. And but I had a pocket full of drugs and a pocket full of drink. So anybody that's an addict knows that they're not doing anything like that until that's finished. So I walked along at Aberdeen and just doing what I was doing, and just sort of contemplating how I was going to do it and where I was going to do it. And by the way, I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I wasn't.
No, but you'd made this decision. You'd made this decision a while back, and you were like, "Do you know what? This is what almost like this is what needs to happen because you feel like you're dragging your family down." Was your plan to enter the water then? Yeah.
My plan, no, so there's a bridge. I won't mention the bridge, but there's a bridge.
Yeah.
On the River Dawn.
Yeah.
And it's big enough for that. So that's what I was heading to. You know, I'd always thought about taking my own life, but I didn't want to do that to my children or my wife or my parents. Didn't want them to have a dad that killed himself. And didn't do it for them. But they came to a point that it was almost like an epiphany, like just a light bulb moment where I went, they'd be better grieving me than living with me. They'd be better grieving the loss of me than living with me. And I was okay with it. I was calm. I was comfortable with my decision to end my life. And
how old were you at this point? You were what, 30?
I was 32.
32, yeah.
32 years old. And I had 2 children at that point, and a wife at home. And I was okay with it. I went out to end my own life. My wife obviously came home and seen the letters. She phoned me, and there was a missing person support out for me. I've been gone about 20 hours at this point.
Right.
Used drugs. I had because I'd wasted all my money. I spent all my money on my last batch of drugs, so I can use all them, and then that's me. So the last, I was about 19 hours, I think, gone, and I was on my way to the bridge, and I was about 5 minutes away from it. Police cars, they kind of triangled me in, and they jumped out the car, they grabbed me, they put me to the ground, the guy had his knee on the back of my neck, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I know, but I think they thought I was dangerous as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they can see the chance that you're not at the bridge yet. So rather than letting you or doing a slowly, softly, catchy monkey type thing, they're just going to take you down, get you cuffed and in the back of the wagon, and then let's deal with it. Yeah. Like if you were up on the bridge sitting on the ledge, it'd be a different story, obviously. But yeah.
Well, they caught me, and when they picked me up, there was a female police officer came over to me. Emotional at this point all the time, but a female police officer came over to me and, are you Michael? And I said, yeah. And she said, thank God we found you. And put her arms around me.
Wow.
Put her arms around me. and I just melted.
Yeah.
You know, it was the first bit of kindness anybody's shown me for a very long time, without having personal bias towards it, you know. And put them back in the car. This is like 4 a.m. at this point. Back to the house. My wife seen the police car pull up, and she thought that they were coming to tell her that they found my body.
Yeah.
And she collapsed to the floor. And my mum was there, my dad was there, her mum and dad was there, my sister was there. There was just loads of family there. Wanted to find out if I'm okay. And the police car pulled up. They thought they were coming to tell them that they'd found my body. I walked in, and my wife ran up to me, wrapped her arms around me, told me she loved me, and I didn't even hug her back. I was just done. I feel as though I'd fought it for so long, and I'd done so much fighting, and I was just done. I didn't have any fighting in me left. I just thought they've just stopped me today. That's all they've done. They've stopped me today.
Yeah, they've delayed the inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And anyway, my mum and my dad were worried about me. The police were worried about me. My wife was obviously worried about me. So my wife has told the police about my issues with drugs and substances. And so the next morning came. I sat on the sofa all night, just sat and stared into space the whole night. Didn't even move. I was just broken. I just didn't left in me to fight anymore, or I had no more left to give. The next day, because I've been missing, I'd been to a support group, we'll call it, before that to try and get help. But I used to go once a fortnight. Anyway, because I was missing, the police had contacted all these people trying to get in contact with me. And I woke up the next day, and one of the guys phoned me. I answered the phone, and he went, "Oh, are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Absolutely fine. Yeah, I'm good. And he's like, really, mate, are you okay? And I sat at the back door of my house and bawled my eyes out to him for about 4 hours. Just poured my heart out to him. And he says, "I'm going to come and pick you up, and we'll go to a meeting and just chill out for a minute." So he came up, and I used to sit in the meeting, my hood up at the back like that, just sit like that, with just no talking, no connection, nothing. Like, people would give me their number, or they would take my number, and as soon as I got the number, I'd block it, because I was just interested.
Were you listening though?
No,
not even listening at that point. Okay.
So I wasn't listening before that point. So the guy took me to a meeting that night, and there was a young lad about my age, sharing that night, just sharing his story of what he went through. And he was at that point, I think 100 days clean and sober, whatever you're going to call it. And I was just sitting in the back, and he was pretty much the same age as me. He had a wife, he had children, he worked full time, same substances, same everything. And he took him to the same ends on his knees. And my ears sort of perked up, and I started listening a little bit. And I thought, I just had a tiny glimmer of hope. I thought, maybe I can do this. And at home that night, I said to my wife, "I'm going to give this one more go." I told her, I said, "I'm going to give this one more go. If this doesn't work, Gemma, I'm done. And so she was really supportive.
And even though, sorry to butt in, Mikey, even though you're still going to the meetings at this point, are you at all clean and sober, or are you still using and drinking?
At that point, I was 1 day.
You were 1 day, right? Okay.
The day before, when I'd been trying to take my own life.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to give this a really good go. And I got 11 days, which was outstanding. 11 days, I don't know about this, but 11 days was the clearest I've been for years and years. And then I relapsed. And I felt like shit when I relapsed. But I went back the next day. And I got honest. I was like, I've relapsed, I've done this, I've done that. And instead of judging me and calling me fucking stupid or anything like that, the people that I'd met and connected with, they took me in, they listened, and I felt almost accepted. And then I got 54 days. 54 days I got. And life was starting to look good for me. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm sweet. Thank you very much. Cheerio. I'm off and out on my merry way, and I lasted 4 days. 4 days. Because all I'd done was abstinence. That's all I'd done.
Yeah. You hadn't worked on yourself or done anything. You haven't even got the 90 days either.
No. So I relapsed again one night, and then that was it. That was the last time I'd ever used, which was the 15th of June, 2022.
Well done, man. Well done.
And I've never used since, But one thing I will, and I'll get into the story of how all of everything that's happened over the past 4 years. But one thing that I remember, I was about 2 weeks clean,
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks clean sober, and I came into my house, sat down at the table to have my supper, and my wife looked me dead in the eyes and went, "You've taken something, haven't you?" I was absolutely mortified. How dare you? How dare you accuse me of take? I haven't touched anything for weeks, and I'm working on myself. But in all realistic, in all fairness, I've been working on myself, going to meetings. I had support from this person, that person, this group, that group. My wife had nothing.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
she healed at a lot slower rate than I
Yeah.
did. I got that point in my recovery, we'll call it, where I was like, I'm not. This is me now. I'm never gonna. The wild horses couldn't pull me back to that.
Yeah.
But
But
she had.
she's still got to build that trust up, and that trauma that she's been through, all those things. That's the thing we forget about the partners and wives and husbands and whatnot that don't have the support. Obviously, there is
Yeah,
some support some places, but we're all going to the
not much.
meetings, and then what are they? What are they got? What have they got? You
I
know?
argue that my wife struggled with it more than me.
Yeah.
I would
Well, because
argue with my
the thing
struggled with
is, and I don't know about you, but for me and my ex, when I was on it and I was in it, I was oblivious to everything else because I was numb. I was numb to the world I was present. Whereas
it. Yeah,
they're seeing it from sober eyes. They remember everything. They see
yeah,
what you're like at 3 in the morning or 6 a.m. or 4 in the afternoon. They see this all the time. And then they see you trying to get better and then relapse and then trying to get better and then relapse. And they're seeing it all from sober eyes. They're not oblivious to it. So it's like, of course
yeah. Because
it's ingrained in their brain.
I've been trying to do this for probably a year and a half, I picked up my one day. I
Yeah.
don't know how many times. I had a drawer full of them, full of them. I ended up actually gathering them all up and giving them to another meeting and saying, "Look, you can have them and
Yeah.
that's your supply for the year." You know,
Yeah.
but my wife, she she says it perfectly. She says the biggest issue for me was my happiness depended on you doing this.
Yeah.
And every time you didn't, and every time it fell apart again, a little part of me was broken.
Yeah.
So every time it went to shit again, and then even when I was sure and I was steadfast in what I was doing, she didn't trust it. She didn't trust that I wouldn't break her heart again
Yeah.
or ruin her happiness or take that away from her. So it took her probably a year
Yeah.
to be able
Because
to.
society tells her that it's an addict, once an addict, always an addict, and that may be true, but obviously it doesn't mean that the addict's going to relapse continuously for the rest of their life,
Yeah, over the years, my opinion on labeling has changed.
Yeah.
My how I identify myself, how I talk to myself has
Mm-hmm.
changed. I firmly believe when I first came in, and I did firmly believe that I'm always going to be this way, and
Mm-hmm.
this is me. How I'm going to be. I'm always going to be like this. I'm always going to be waking up in the morning and going, just one day I need to get, just today,
Mm-hmm.
And when you're first in, that is great advice.
It's the best advice, but it changes, doesn't it?
One day at a time, but it changes. For me, I don't label myself anymore.
No.
I don't identify. You won't hear me in a video or anywhere else saying I am an addict.
No.
You won't hear it because I believe in the words I am,
Yeah.
and after that. So I'm not that anymore. I can still act out. I can still behave in bad ways. I still can fall short some places.
Yeah.
But I have a selection of tools available to me.
Yeah.
People, you know, different things that I do, breathwork, meditation, literature that I read, the people that I talk to. I don't surround myself with people that co-sign any of my bullshit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I've done something, I've said something, or sometimes run it past somebody, and they'll go, "You're a dick," you know.
Exactly. I mean, I think I totally agree with you because for the first year, at least, anyway, that I was doing the meetings and in the rooms, and I was like, "Yeah, my name's Jimmy, and I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic." And yeah, but after a while, that becomes it becomes easier because I'm not thinking about it just being one day at a time, and my life is longer, and I've got other things going on. There's no, like, I know for a fact that if I was to go out again tomorrow and drink and use, I would become an alcoholic addict again. That's what I would become, because that never goes away. But right now, no, I'm not that, and I don't label myself as that.
I believe that if for some wild reason I done that tomorrow, it wouldn't take me long, because I've learned through experience that for me, for relapse, if I go into a relapse, I'm 10, 15 minutes and I'm back to the same manipulative, conniving little shit I was before.
Yeah.
But
well, worse. It gets worse every time for me. It did.
Yeah,
every time
it does.
tenfold. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think at the beginning scared you the most about getting sober and clean? Do you think there was anything that was kind of holding you back?
Uh, well, how do I function? How do I live? How do
Yeah.
I continue to have fun? How do I entertain myself? How do I celebrate? How do I, because people tell you when you first come in, avoid this, avoid that, don't do this, don't do that, and I'm feeling like I'm avoiding everything. And I felt sorry for my wife because, again, when I first came in, I did not think I had a drink problem.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the substance that I had the problem with, just that one. Complete abstinence to me was a alien thing.
Yeah.
And once I realised that I've had a lot of experience with, I'm not going to take it tonight, but I'm just going to have a few pints or whatever it may be, and every single time the same pattern happens. So for me, it was a risk and reward. So
Mhm.
do I come in here and get clean, sober, find this beautiful way of life, and risk that new way of life by having a bottle of beer? Or
Mhm.
do I just not take the risk? Because the risk is that high and the reward is that little. What's the point? What is the point? And it took me a little while to be able to be okay with not having a drink and not and being in situations, because trying to avoid alcohol altogether
Mhm.
and in society nowadays is it's
You,
almost impossible.
you can. It's everywhere. It's around you all the time. It's in the supermarket. It's on TV. It's on billboards. People are
I mean, I
doing it
seen
in
your
front of
post the
you.
other day. About the Mother's Day aisle.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
Mental in it.
crazy.
Mental in it. Here we go. Like this for our long-suffering mothers that have put up with us for so many years.
A
We're going to
bottle of
buy them a
whiskey.
bottle of poison.
Oh, it's crazy.
Mm.
So it took him a little minute to get realize that, and my wife fell pregnant with my third child very early on when I was in recovery. I was like 3 months in, and she fell pregnant. And some people call her the recovery baby,
Mm.
she'll be 3 tomorrow, and I was
Mm.
struggling with finding any purpose. I was struggling with people talked about the gifts of recovery, and I was like, what fucking gifts? I'm skint. I'm in piles of debt. My wife doesn't trust me. My parents still won't give me a key to their house,
Mhm.
and my whole life's blown up. I had cardiomyopathy in my heart. Half my heart was deflated because of it, and all this happened because and I still had skeletons in the closet because people were still gunning for me for whatever reasons, whether it was money or I'd fucked them over. So I was struggling to find the beauty in it, and I probably about 5 6 months clean. And my oldest daughter Ari, I used to get my wife to take her to bed all the time,
Mhm.
tell this story all the time, because it is the point in my new way of life where I had an epiphany. I was like, this is what it's all about.
Mhm.
And what she always asked my wife to take her to bed, always mummy. And one night she asked, Daddy, can you take me to bed and read my story?
Mm.
Okay. So I picked her up and I'm trying to hold it together, walking up the stairs with her. So I got her into her bed. I'm reading her a bedtime story. She fell asleep, and I was stroking her hair and told her how much I love her, have a nice sweet dreams and stuff. And I sat there for about 20 minutes just staring at her thinking, this is it. This is what I'm doing this for. This is the gifts. This is
Mhm.
why life can be so beautiful. I missed all that. I missed a lot of time with my children when they were young, because I was out, or even if I was there, I wasn't there. I missed a lot of things because of it, and I'm trying to make up for it, and I am making up for it.
Mhm.
And
And you've got your youngest that you are getting those times again. Do you know what I mean? You've got the other ones that are going through their older years and that, but you've got the new child that you can do the younger things with again. It is, as you say, it's the gifts of sobriety.
it really is, and the gifts just keep coming. I thought I'd have loads of money, a big house, massive car. I can tell you, I'm still fucking skint, but I am rich.
Yeah.
I'm so rich. I've got people in my life now that genuinely care for me, love me. My relationship with my wife is better than it was when we first met. We're like teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, we're so in love. It's almost disgusting. I'm not even going to put that much because you're going to puke if I tell you anymore.
No, because it's pure love. And this is the thing, like, I met Jen, who's now my wife. We got married last year, and I met her. I think I was just coming up in my third year, And you know what? Like, I'd done a bit of dating before, but I wasn't in the right space, the headspace, and all that. When I met Jen, we were both in the right space, and it just clicked. And it's like the most pure love ever. I'll give you an example. She was driving home from work the other day, and she had her eldest daughter in the car in the back seat. And I'm always a bit lovey dovey in front of the kids because I think it's good
Yeah,
behaviour for them to learn.
yeah.
It's nice for them to see that we are so in love. And I started saying to her, like, "Oh, you look amazing today, darling," or whatever, something like that. And her daughter was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 enough of all the smoochy stuff because I've got my friend sat next to me." And I said, "It doesn't matter. She's gonna love hearing that." And actually, she was like, "I love seeing two old people in love."
Two old people.
Two old people in love. I know.
Brilliant.
This is what it's all about. Yeah,
But it is, and she's been with me all the way through this, through the back. And she tells me all the time, so many times she wanted to leave. And she did leave me at one point, she left with the kids, went to her mum's and stayed there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And all this time she was, everything in her was screaming to go and leave. Something keeping me, because I knew deep down inside of you there was this good guy, there was this amazing, kind person that I loved, that I fell in love with. And I really lost him because of it. Now, it's not been easy, because when I came into recovery, I used to have night terrors a lot. I used to wake up screaming and crying in the middle of the night, and my wife would hold me like a baby and hold me in her arms and tell me it's okay, you're okay, you're safe. And I would have these episodes maybe once a week, all the time. And we were in Rome for my wife's 30th birthday. I took her out of Rome. I was how clean then? Probably about 2 years clean at this point. About 2 years clean at this point. And we went to Rome, and what a beautiful time we had. And we're like 3-4 days in, and I had probably the worst episode I'd ever had.
Right.
Woke up in the middle of the night, screaming and crying. And I thought to myself, I can't carry on like this. This is beyond scary for me and for her, because she got that by watching me do it. She was there every night, every time. She'd wake up and she'd console me. But it would ruin my whole day. It would stick with me the whole day afterwards. So I went to the people that I thought might have experience with it, and their guidance, we'll call it, was it's your addiction trying to get you while you're sleeping, because they can't get you when you're awake. And I was like, wow, that's not good enough. Not good enough for me. I can't allow that to be the answer. And it wasn't until I started my journey on social media that I was sharing it with a guy, the Zero Run podcast. You know him, Lee?
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He's went through similar things, and PTSD.
Right.
That's what it came down to. And I worked through it in a professional manner, and they're gone. Completely gone. I don't have these dreams anymore. And so that was the clicking point for me, where I thought, this is more than what meets the eye, more than what I think it is. There's so much science behind it. There's so much faith behind it. There's so many different avenues to go through. For me, recovery is like a cube, and I'm stealing a guy John's metaphor here. He said recovery is like, so you're in the middle, and all these different things come from each side, all the different sides, whether it be the science part of it, the faith part of it, the fellowship part of it, the love, the connection, all these different things. Without them all, it doesn't make up the cube, and I needed the whole thing to be there, with one bit missing for me, which was the psychological part that was missing. And I still felt, what am I doing? How am I doing this? And it clicked me one day. And then I started this journey on here, and it really has. I've met some amazing people and amazing things, and we've got some amazing things lined up. We've got the I Am Movement thing in April. We're doing a seminar, and I've got the Better Together Ball in November that we're organising. And I feel better when I'm giving back something. I don't want any money from anybody.
No.
I will turn in my grave before I charge somebody to get them clean or anything like that, because I'm not the answer. I can't do it for anybody. You know, and this is what frustrates me sometimes, and this is why I wouldn't promote myself as an addiction
expert or
expert.
professional. This
I
is the thing, Mikey, and it annoys me because, like, I, as soon as my first couple of years or whatever, I was seeing people that had less time than me, and they were going and they were getting qualifications or whatever and all that, and I just thought, you're not ready. Like, it doesn't matter if you get a bit of paper saying that you're a sober coach or this, that, and the other. You're still so early days. Like, I still think of myself, I'm 5.5 years now. I still think of myself as early days. Now, our addiction charity over here called Motivate, which helped me, and that's where my NA was, my SMART meetings were through and all of that. And I was asked the first year that they set up the peer mentoring program, and they asked me if I wanted to be on it. And I said, listen, and I think I was about 2.5 years sober at that point. And I said, no, I'm not ready myself. So I'm not going to do that. And they were like, okay, fair enough. I think their parameters were you had to be either 6 months or 18 months or something like that anyway. And so I was over that, but I just said, no, I'm not ready. And then when it came up the second time round, I would have been 4 years at that point, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm not getting paid an absolute fortune for it. I really not. I do it once every 2 weeks for an hour. So it cuts into my own job to do it, but I love doing it, and I go in and I work with people, and I'm being peer mentor. And now I'm starting to do some training for sober coaching. But this has taken me 5.5 years to get to that point. Do you know what I mean? Because everything up until then,
I see on social media where people are. I mean, I know. I see somebody on social media that I think he was 2 months clean and he had 4 sponsees, and he's promoting himself as an addiction mentor and stuff like that. And I'm like, and I got asked as well. When I first started on social media, I was on for a couple of months, and somebody asked me what they join their. I can't remember how they worded it, and I'd be paid per month, depending on how many people I got in, and we get people clean and sober. I'm like, that's a rough thing to do, you know. Like, I can't. I always say to people, I can't do this for you.
no,
Nobody else can do it for you. You have to
you have to do
want
it
to
yourself.
do it. Have to want it, and sometimes, unfortunately, it has to take everything from you.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing. Now I'm learning more. I'm doing what you were saying. I'm doing getting more qualifications, and sometimes I might go into something like that, but it definitely wouldn't be the way that they're saying it. You know, like Lee, for example, on podcast, he is doing that. He's got a lot of qualifications. He's a very intelligent man.
Yeah.
He isn't getting people in by saying, I will get you clean.
Yeah.
I will get you sober. He's teaching people that, giving people purpose and identity, and trying to find themselves and find who they are. You know, and that's great. That's what we're after.
It's when people start saying, and I see these adverts and posts and boosted posts and all that, and they're saying, I will guarantee you sobriety or clean time in 3 months. And I'm like, there is no absolute effing way that you can do that within 3. You can't even guarantee anyone that you're going to get them sober ever. It's up to them whether they do it. You can give them the suggestions and the help and the tools and all that, but you can no guarantee. There's never a guarantee in that, and it's mental.
If anybody asks me, I tell them what I done. You know, and I when I first came in, I used to want it for people more than they wanted it, and it robbed me of peace. And it took me a long time to learn that I can't do it for them. So now I will tell people, if they ask me, well, how did you do it? And I'll tell them exactly what I've done, and do it. You know, for me, you know, if you want what they have, do what they've done. You know,
But for me, I think it's different for everyone, because I went to NA, I went to CA, I went to AA, I did SMART, I did a bit of everything. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't just one program that got me sober and clean. It was a bit of everything. Whereas some people are like, I only do this, and this is what's got me sober. And other people are like, this is what I did. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool for you. But for me, it had to be a mixture of everything, and it worked. You know, and that was the thing. Whereas
that's one thing I see a lot, especially with 12-step fellowships. You know, they bash other ways. They bash people. Some people in 12-step fellowships will bash another. How they do it, and it really grinds my gears. I don't care how you done it. I don't care if you went to church. I don't care if you've done it with psychologist, 12 steps program.
Yeah.
I don't even care if you've done it complete self-will.
Yeah.
If you've done it, fantastic. If you're happy and you've got a way of life that you're proud of and you're at peace, fantastic. I don't care if you've done it. If you've done it, great. You know, and I'm
because
happy
nobody's addiction's the same. Nobody's addiction's the same. So the
No.
road to recovery has got to be different as well.
We're all different, you know, and that's where I kind of disagree with some things. You know, they would turn their nose up at certain fellowships or turn their nose up at smart recovery or whatever it may be, and I'm like, well, hold on, it's helping a lot of people, so why not? You know,
we're all in the same boat, and the end goal is to get sober and clean. So why bash other stuff that's helping someone? It baffles me. Do you know what I mean? It really baffles me.
And that's the main reason I don't promote any particular way
on
any social platforms, because I know that there is multiple different ways to do it, and each completely different. Completely, my journey and your journey will be completely different. You know, the end goal in our active addiction, we'll call it, we both got to the same ends on our knees, fucked. Once we found our new way of life, you know, we go down different roads and we find different ways, and and we're always evolving and changing and growing.
And that's why I think this advent of, and I know it's been going for years, the sober community on Instagram, but it's grown so long in the 5 years that I've been sober and all that. And that's what I love, because it's like, do you know what? I'll be like, oh my God. And I'll be like, Mikey, do you know what? Like, I did this and it really worked for me. So I'm going to do a post on that and see if it helps other people. And if they want to ignore it, that's fine. But if it helps them, then that's even better. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the whole thing with the community. We've got all these different ideas coming from different like-minded people saying, I've done this and this really worked for me. So here you go. Have the keys to the kingdom. Do you know what I mean? So tell us a little bit about, sorry, but no, go on there.
No, carry on, please.
I was just going to say, tell us a little bit about your ball and the I Am program that you're involved in.
Okay, so the I Am movement, we myself and a few other guys that are on social media. If you want to see them, just you'll find them on my Instagram page.
I'll put them in the show notes of the podcast anyway, so we'll do that.
We started a movement to show the power of the word I am, and to give people a better understanding of what they are and how they talk about themselves matters. You know, like what we were talking about earlier, carrying these labels around with you and labeling yourself with all these different identities and whatever it may be doesn't help. You know, so we're trying to find a good way to give people a bit of structure, a bit of identity, passion and purpose in their life. We are in no ways a program for people to come in and get clean and sober. That's not what we're after. We're after the bit that I struggled with. When I got clean, I had no idea who I was. I had no what I was, what I wanted. I had no purpose in my life, and I found it through a long haul of different things. But that's what we're trying to promote. That's what we're trying to do for other people. And the good thing is about us all, we are all coming. Like I was talking about that cube earlier. All coming from different angles, all of us. You know, got a guy that's very heavily got a lot of psychology background, and he is a psychologist at a job, and he's a very intelligent man. He's come from one direction. Got one guy that's a vet that that was in the army, and he's coming from another direction. Another guy, me, Lee, we've got all different directions of how we're dealing with this and doing it. So we've got an event the 4th of April. It's down south in Wales, just north. It's about a 40-minute drive from Liverpool and Manchester. The link is in my bio if you do want to check it out. And we also have the charity ball at the end of the year called the Better Together Ball on the 7th of November. Now, I started this ball with a friend called Jason. We signed up Ben Nevis last year, and we raised £10,000 for Scottish Action for Mental Health, which helps with suicide and awareness for mental health and prevention for suicide, and taking the stigma out of the word suicide. Because here's the word suicide to go.
Oh, absolutely.
Even on social media, a lot of social media platforms will block the word. You know, it's an important word. We started this because in 2024, 18th of December 2024, Jason's brother, which was my best friend, he killed himself on the 18th of December 2024, and tore us to shreds. You know, when we went out his house and we found him, I will never ever forget the screams that came out of his sisters, in his mum's mouth. It haunts me to this day. And that's when we decided we need to do something. I can't stand by and watch all these people take their own lives. And I know men are the majority of people that take their own lives, but we're doing it for everybody. Mm-hmm. 750,000 people last year killed themselves. And
one of the highest, if not the highest, cause of death between, I think there's like between 20s and 30s for men, 20s and 40s for men in the UK. It's not one of the highest forms of death. Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah. It really is. We have decided that we're gonna put this ball on, which is the 7th of November this year. Mm-hmm. We're on auction, raffle. We've got a band coming to play. We're actually away to try and corner Amelia Sandy to try and come and play for us as well.
Nice.
I know. The tickets are on Eventbrite under the Better Together ball. Yeah. So we've done it because we're passionate about it, and it's hit right home for us. I've lost so many people to suicide. Yeah. I've been in recovery now and been completely abstinent for nearly 4 years, and I've buried I don't know how many people have killed themselves. Because in my experience, yes, a lot of people die from overdoses. A lot. Most of them take their own life. Yeah. Most of them. Most of the people that I've lost have taken their own lives because they can't cope with it anymore. And by the way, Blaine was clean and sober 54 days when he took his own life. So it's not just about abstinence. It's really about looking after yourself and
without a doubt, because it's about those finding that, like, who you are in sobriety. Once you've got sober and clean, it doesn't mean that you're fixed. Do you know what I mean? You've still got to do all that work and work out what is the best route of life for you. And if you haven't done that, you're still feeling all that pain and anguish.
Anybody that watches my videos will notice I wear a chain. You don't always see it. It's normally tucked in my t-shirt. Mm-hmm. But 2 things on my chain. And the first one was a cross that my wife bought me. Yeah. When I was about 90 days clean. Mm-hmm. Because God's a big part of my journey. Yeah, and I don't preach. I don't do anything like that. But God's a big part of my journey. Yeah. And the other one is this. So Blaine's family, when he was cremated, they put some of his ashes in here. And this is Blaine in here, so I carry him with me everywhere I go. And that's
a beautiful thing, man.
A reminder of why I do it. Yeah. And I keep him with me everywhere. And this is part of the reason. Oh, sorry, this is the reason why I came on social media. I came on social media start of January 2025, middle of January, just after we had buried him. Mm-hmm. Me and his brother carried his coffin down, and I just thought I want to do something. Yeah. Start the social media journey, and social media for me has been ups and downs, mostly ups. So I know social media can be a really dark and horrible place for some people, but it can be used for so much good. Really can.
Taking the word out of my mouth, Mikey, because that's what I said at the beginning. I used to get lost in social media when I was in it, and I was just like, I'd be putting these rants on and this and that. But when I got sober and clean and I started my own account, I was like, oh my God, like I've not really, touch wood, not really come across absolutely any toxicity in the sober community. I know it's out there, and I've stumbled across it a couple of times, maybe on Facebook, but the majority of it's just love, hope, and just trying to help people. That's what it's about.
I do not engage with anybody that has anything negative to say. Yeah. Anybody comment or anything like that, I do not engage with it. Yeah, they get blocked straight away, and that's it. Because I'm not here to argue people. I'm not here to start a silly social media war with somebody.
Exactly.
But that is not to say, there's a guy on one of the social media platforms that kept on commenting on my stuff about and disagreeing with things. And I thought, you know what? Why don't we have a conversation? Why don't we go do a live, mate? Come up, and we can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. And I was ready for him. I was like, that's it. He's getting it. I'm going to hit him with facts and this and that. And we got chatting, and what a great guy. Yeah. What a fantastic guy. He just had a different outlook to me. I was so close-minded to the way I was doing it. And I was listening to him, and I was like, you actually make a lot of sense, mate. And he's a good friend of mine now, and
because the thing is, Mikey, we're all learning as well. The thing is, I will in no way, shape, or form ever say that I'm an expert on, addiction and recovery and sobriety and clean type, any of that. I'm not an expert. Of course I'm not. I'm just doing what I know, and I'm learning all the time as I go. They're finding out the science behind it, they're finding out stuff all the time in the day-to-day basis.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever we believe now, you know, in a year's time might be different. We'll be like, all right, okay, we've got to be open-minded, you know, because we were closed off in addiction, you know.
I thought I was open-minded, and then, but in all reality, I was quite closed-minded.
Yeah.
And some real open-minded people to show me how closed-minded I was, and now I'm really open-minded. You know, I'm open to hear other people's ways.
Of course.
I'm open, and I almost enjoy when people debate with me.
Yeah.
When people disagree with me, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. Have a conversation around it.
Especially now we have clarity of mind and we're able to have a debate rather than some drunken argument down the pub, which is what I was, you know, I was great at. Well, I wasn't great at doing it. I was known for doing it. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't very good at it because I'd always lose but I was always like, no, I'm fucking right. I know what I'm saying. And it's this and it's that. Mikey, what surprised you most about sober life? Clean life?
What surprised me most? How beautiful it is.
Yeah, yeah.
How beautiful it really can be if you let it. It can be really hard if you want it to be. You know, it's like the story of the two wolves. You know, which wolf survives? The negative one or the positive one? Whichever one you feed. You know, if you look for the shit all the time, you're going to find the shit.
Yeah.
But look for the positives. You know, gratitude. Gratitude's key.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a superpower for us because how bad it can be. So we're grateful for how good it can be now and how good it is. We're grateful for the things that most people overlook.
Yeah, take for granted. Yeah.
I think the beauty in it.
It's like we were saying off air, like, you know, it's like that whole, you know, I always liken it to having the blue or the red pill in the Matrix and being able to see for what it all is now. And it's like you just kind of scream at people and say, your life can be so much better without that, but they've got to make that choice. They've got to take that pill themselves, and you know you can't force it down the neck.
I've got 1% on my phone.
Right. Let's go for the quick fire round at the end, mate. One piece of advice that you can give someone at day one.
Take it one day at a time. No. All you got to do is get your head in the pillow tonight without doing it. Yeah. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about yesterday. What about today?
Yeah. A podcast. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
As in, just stay present.
Yeah. A podcast, film, or a book about recovery or hope.
Podcast, film, or book. Aye, which one?
Yeah. Any that you've used, whether it be a podcast, a book, or a film that's helped you with recovery and hope.
I quite enjoy the Seated On podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Helped me quite a lot with listening to that. Film wise, A Star Is Born.
Oh, brilliant one! The new one with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Yeah, I love that one. It's a great film.
A book is The Realm of Ghosts.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic book for anyone to read.
Yeah. And one word that describes your life now, Mikey.
Purposeful.
Like it. Yeah. That's great, mate. Well, thank you so much, Mikey. It's been an amazing hour and a bit getting to know you and you know, learning your story and getting to know you.
I really appreciate coming on, and I really appreciate the opportunity for us to have a chat. It's been great.
Well, just keep doing what you're doing, mate. We appreciate your journey and your sobriety and your clean time. So yeah, thank you.
Likewise to you, mate. You know, I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Mikey, for, you know, coming on and baring your soul. You know, I think that's the kind of, you know, it's a difficult subject matter, suicide. You know, as you said in the episode, you know, things like Facebook and Instagram kind of block it on the talking points. So it is something that needs to be spoken about. But I think it is obviously a difficult thing, and you know, for you to go through that. And then, you know, to come on and talk about it is just so commendable. And I think my take from this episode is the fact that people automatically think of addicts as genuinely bad people, but, you know, we're not. Mikey's not. I'm not. We didn't want this life. You know, we kind of didn't set out when we were 12, 13, 14 to become alcoholics or addicts. And I just think, spoken about it a lot this week on the Instagram, that, we didn't want to be this way, and none of us wanted to kind of look, oh, when I'm 40, I want to be an addict or whatever. So I think people that are drinking and using, they're rolling that dice. It doesn't matter. People go, oh, well, they're taking drugs. They're already on that path. The drugs and alcohol are exactly the same thing. It shouldn't be drugs and alcohol. Alcohol's a drug. So if you're doing any of that, you're rolling that dice. You're playing a risky game. And I'm not saying it's inevitable, but you're a couple of bad traumatic experiences and then using those as a tool away from becoming dependent on it. And that's the scary part of this whole debacle of addiction, that it's there just waiting around the corner for everyone. And I don't care. People go, oh yeah, there's no way that would happen to me. I did not think it would happen to me, and I'm sure Mikey didn't think it would happen to him. So if you're struggling, or you know anyone that's struggling, please don't turn your back on them, and show them a bit of love, like the police officer did for Mikey. It might, in fact, I know that it will make all the difference to them if they're struggling. Just show them a bit of love, show them the support, that you've got them, that you've got their back, and that they're not alone. That's all we need to do. And then we can start helping them rebuild, and they need to do the work. But, just showing that little bit of love and support at the beginning is just the most important thing. And I think the other take from this is that, just being honest. That's all we can do. Honest with our friends, honest with our loved ones. And we can make it out of this. I did, Mikey did. And there's thousands, if not millions out there that aren't being honest with their habits, their addiction. They're not being honest to their friends and family. And I think if they start being honest and just saying, listen, yep, hold my hands up, I've got a problem, things will change, and that's kind of where we're at with this. So that's the main takes from today's episode. Thank you again, Mikey. Just an absolute pleasure to speak to you and hear your honest and brutal story. So thank you. I know it wasn't easy at certain points, but I hope everyone else is kind of taking a bit from it. Hit the subscribe button, the like, the share all of my reels. Just get the message out there, guys, because I'm really trying to raise awareness of how alcohol and drugs as well, but alcohol especially with me isn't doing anyone any favors. And I think that's kind of really where we need to be at as a society, because there is no safe level of drinking alcohol. That whole bollocks about it going nice with a steak or some fish, and the antioxidants in the wine will sort out your heart and things like that. It's not about the alcohol. It's about the fruits and the wines that thing is made from. Take out the alcohol, because the alcohol is the one that's doing you damage. So just have a really good fruit juice and you'll get the antioxidants out of that. So stop believing the myths, guys. Like, subscribe, share, hit the 5-star review or the 1 if you're not happy with it, and let me know why. And until next week, guys, stay safe, stay sober, and stay supportive. Peace. Love you all.